You think balance
You
is
want a
the
life
answer.
without pain? Fine. But remember this, a life without pain is a life without growth. The world isn't here to hand you comfort. Comfort kills. It robs you of potential, turns you soft, makes you weak. Every time you avoid pain, you're stepping away from who you could become. That easy road, it's a dead end. Growth is forged in suffering, in the blood, sweat, and tears you shed when no one's watching. You think warriors are born? Hell no. Warriors are built in the furnace of pain, sharpened by every failure, every setback, every brutal moment when your body screams, "Stop." But your mind says, "I got more." When you want to quit, that's when you push harder. Pain is your ally, not your enemy. It's the tool the universe uses to shape you into something stronger. You think strength comes from lifting a feather? Hell no. It comes from lifting the damn boulder that breaks your back, but you lift it anyway because on the other side of pain is power. No one's going to hand you greatness. You earn it through the struggle, the grind, the pain that breaks you down and rebuilds you stronger. Pain reveals your limits and then dares you to push past them. Every time you step into that darkness, into the unknown, into the suffering, you're growing. So the next time you feel pain creeping in, good. That's the signal that you're alive. That's the signal that you're growing. You can live your life running from pain, or you can run into it and see just how far you can really go. But here's the truth no one wants to face. Most people won't. They shy away. They want the reward without the sacrifice, the glory without the grind. You see it every day. People living in the shadows of what they could be. They settle for comfort, for mediocrity, because they're afraid to get hurt. But what they don't understand is this. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. When you embrace pain, when you stop running from it, you take control. You weaponize it. Pain no longer becomes something that breaks you. It becomes something that makes you. Every rep you push through, every mile you grind out, every time you stay up when the world's asleep, you're not just enduring pain. You're transforming it into strength, into discipline, into relentless power. You think the mind is weak? Wrong. The mind is only as weak as you let it be. It'll try to talk you out of pain because it's wired to protect you, to keep you comfortable. But comfort is the enemy of everything you want to become. You have to rewire your mind. Teach it that discomfort is where growth happens. Teach it that you're not afraid of the darkness, of the pain, because you know what's on the other side. Victory. You want to be average. Keep avoiding pain. But if you want to become something more, something unstoppable, you need to lean into that suffering. When your muscles are screaming, when your lungs are burning, when your mind is begging you to quit, that's when the real work starts. That's when you separate yourself from the pack. Most people stop when they hit the wall. They think that's their limit. But the wall is an illusion. It's a test. It's asking you, how bad do you want it? The pain you feel at the wall is just weakness leaving your body. Push past it. And on the other side is strength, is greatness, is the version of you that most people will never meet because they didn't have the guts to face their own pain. So don't stop. Don't back down. Don't give pain the satisfaction of beating you. You were made for this fight. Keep going when others fold. Keep pushing when others quit. And when you finally reach the other side, when the pain fades and you look back, you'll realize something. That pain wasn't your enemy. It was your greatest gift. Every scar is a reminder you survived. Every bruise is proof you didn't break. And every drop of sweat is a down payment on the future you're building. And here's the kicker. It never gets easier. Not the real stuff. Not the kind of pain that pushes you to grow, that forces you to evolve. It's not supposed to. If you're waiting for the day when the grind doesn't hurt, you're living in a fantasy. The pain is permanent, but so is the growth that comes with it. The stronger you get, the heavier the load. That's the reality most people won't tell you. Success doesn't lighten the burden. It just means you've proven you can carry more. You want to rise higher? You're going to face deeper pain, more pressure, and harder challenges. But that's the price of leveling up. The price of greatness. You either pay it, or you don't. When you look at the giants, the people who made it to the top, the legends, they didn't get there by taking shortcuts or avoiding pain. They sought it out. They lived in it. They embraced the suffering because they understood something most people never will. Pain is the path. Every injury, every setback, every moment of doubt was fuel. They didn't whine. They didn't ask for it to stop. They kept moving forward. They thrived in the adversity. You see, real warriors don't fear pain. They expect it. They know that pain is the initiation fee for greatness, and they're willing to pay it every damn day. They know the battles they fight on the outside are nothing compared to the war they win inside. That's where true power lies. So what's it going to be? You going to keep waiting for that easy day? It's not coming. Stop wishing for it. Stop hoping the pain will go away. Because all that hope is doing is making you soft. The pain is here to stay, and it's a gift, a tool. Use it. Every moment of suffering is an opportunity to push your limits, to prove to yourself that there's no quit in you. You're not the type to fold. You're not the type to back down. You didn't come this far just to get this far. The pain, it's your teacher. It's showing you what you're made of. Every time you keep going, when everything in your body tells you to stop, you're rewriting the script. You're showing the world and yourself that you've got more inside you than anyone ever thought possible. So next time you're in the middle of that pain, remember, this is where you grow. This is where you separate yourself from the crowd. The pain won't stop, but neither will you. Because deep down, you know this truth. A life without pain is a life without purpose. Now get out there, earn it. It's up to you. Everybody wants the spotlight. They want to stand there basking in the glory, soaking up the cheers, the applause, the recognition. But here's the truth. They don't deserve it. Why? Because they're scared of the darkness. The darkness is where the real work happens. It's the long nights when nobody's watching. It's the sweat dripping off your face when you're grinding alone. It's the pain, the sacrifice, the loneliness. The darkness doesn't hand out trophies. It doesn't care about your excuses. It's brutal. It's unforgiving. And it'll break you if you're weak. Most people quit there. They want the easy way out. They want shortcuts. But let me tell you something. The spotlight is earned in the shadows. The ones who make it aren't afraid of the dark. They embrace it. They crawl through the mud. They bleed. They suffer. You've got to love the grind. Love the days when nobody cares. Love the nights when it feels like the world's against you. Because when you come out the other side, scarred, broken, but unbreakable, that's when the spotlight comes looking for you. So ask yourself this. Are you ready to face the darkness? Or are you just another dreamer hoping for greatness without the guts to earn it? Stop running from the pain. Run into it, face it, own it. Because the darkness is the only way to the light. When you step into the darkness, you're going to hear every reason to quit screaming in your head. This hurts too much. Nobody cares. Why am I even doing this? That's your weakness trying to negotiate with you, trying to pull you back into the comfort zone where dreams go to die. You have to shut that voice down. You have to dominate it. When the pain shows up, you tell it, "You're not strong enough to stop me." When doubt creeps in, you remind yourself of every time you've conquered it before. That's how you build a mindset of resilience, by battling the darkness and refusing to back down. Here's the thing. The darkness isn't your enemy. It's your proving ground. Every time you push through, every time you choose to stay in the fight, you're sharpening yourself. The darkness is shaping you into something unstoppable, something relentless. And when you finally earn that spotlight, it won't just illuminate your success. It'll reveal the scars, the grit, the relentless determination that got you there. But make no mistake, the work doesn't stop when the lights come on. The spotlight is temporary. The grind is eternal. You don't just fight through the darkness once. You live there. You thrive there. Because the moment you get comfortable in the light, you're done. So don't chase the spotlight. Chase the darkness. Learn to love the struggle, because that's where the real warriors are made. The ones who can take the hits and keep moving forward. Who stare into the void and say, "Bring it on." You want to be uncommon? Start where everyone else quits. Find the darkness they're all running from and own it. When you live in the darkness long enough, something changes. It stops feeling like a punishment, and it starts to feel like your home. You stop fearing it, and you start to crave it. Because you know the truth. The darkness is the only place where you're tested. And if you're not tested, you don't grow. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It doesn't happen when people are clapping for you, telling you how great you are. Growth happens when you're on the verge of breaking, when your body screams for rest and your mind begs for relief. That's where you find out who you really are. The darkness doesn't lie to you. It shows you exactly what you're made of. No filters, no excuses, no distractions. Just you, your pain, and your will to keep going. Most people hate that mirror. They hate what they see because it shows them the truth. But if you're willing to face it, if you're willing to stand there and say, "I'm not leaving until I'm stronger," that's when transformation happens. The spotlight, it's a flash, a flicker. It's gone as quickly as it came. But the strength you build in the shadows, that's forever. Nobody can take that from you. When you've been forged in the darkness, no amount of pressure, no amount of criticism, no failure can break you. You've already been to hell, and you came out swinging. So when the world asks you how you made it, don't just tell them about the victories. Tell them about the nights when you wanted to quit but didn't. Tell them about the pain you endured, the failures you embraced, the grind nobody else wanted. Because that's the story that matters. That's the truth behind the spotlight. Remember, the spotlight doesn't define you. The darkness does. Embrace it, master it. And when you finally step into the light, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. And it wasn't handed to you. It was earned. Stay in the fight. Stay in the grind. road to hell is a nicely paved highway. You just walk right down. You've got no obstacles, and it leads you to a life of mediocrity. Because you are afraid to take that road that's really bumpy, full of a bunch of shit that will fucking kill you. It's not paved. That road on over there is the road to your personal greatness, and it's going to be super tough, but it will be worth it. Choose the hard road. Life isn't some smooth, easy ride. The road to mediocrity, that's the highway most people take. It's clean, it's simple, it's predictable. You don't have to think, you don't have to fight. You just walk, and before you know it, you're in the middle of nothing. A life so empty it echoes. That's what happens when you're afraid to bleed, afraid to sweat, afraid to break. But that other road, that's where the real ones go. The road to greatness is jagged, it's messy, it's brutal. You'll trip, you'll fall, you'll crawl through mud that stinks of every fear you've ever buried. It's not lit with streetlights. It's lit by the fire you bring to it. And trust me, the world will try to douse that fire. Pain, failure, self-doubt. They're all waiting for you out there like wolves, ready to tear into you. But here's the truth. The hard road will make you unbreakable. Every stumble, every scar, every moment when you want to quit but don't, it's carving you into something sharper, stronger, unstoppable. The world doesn't hand greatness to cowards. It's earned by those willing to walk into the storm, not around it. So ask yourself, are you going to stay on that easy path, living half of a life, scared of the fight? Or are you going to step up, lace up, and take the hard road no matter how ugly it gets? You think greatness is waiting for you? Number, it's hiding, buried deep behind every obstacle you don't want to face. It's laughing at your excuses. It's daring you to show up when the world says you can't. The hard road doesn't care about your feelings, your comfort, or your fear. It's there to test if you've got what it takes. And most don't. Most tap out the second they feel the heat. But you're not most, are you? You've got the spark, the whisper in your gut telling you that you're meant for more. That whisper doesn't come easy, and it doesn't come for free. You've got to fight for it every damn day. You've got to wake up, look at the hard road, and say, let's fucking go. You'll sweat. You'll bleed. You'll break down and cry when no one's watching. But every step you take on that road builds something inside you that no one can steal. It's the kind of strength that turns pain into fuel. It's the kind of mindset that makes the impossible a starting point. Every excuse, every shortcut, every "I'll do it tomorrow" belongs on that smooth highway to hell. Burn those bridges. Set fire to the easy way out. Because every step you take on the hard road will bring you closer to the version of yourself you were born to be. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to do the work for you. It's you versus you out there, every single second. So, what's it going to be? The easy life of regret, or the hard road of unstoppable pride? Let me ask you something. When you're lying on your deathbed, are you going to look back on a life of what-ifs? You're going to stare into the void, wishing you'd taken the harder road, the one that scared the hell out of you, but would have given you the pride of knowing you left nothing on the table? Or are you going to nod your head, battered, bruised, and victorious, knowing you took every damn step toward the person you were meant to be? The easy road is seductive. It whispers sweet lies in your ear. This is good enough. You don't need to push harder. Stay comfortable. Stay safe. but it's a trap. That smooth, paved highway leads straight to a life where you're nothing more than a shadow of your potential. It's the path of the weak, the path of the ones who let fear make their choices. Fear's a liar, but it's also a teacher. The moment you feel that knot in your stomach, that voice telling you, you can't do this, that's the signal. That's the direction you need to go. Fear isn't there to stop you. It's there to show you where the real work begins. And that work, it's ugly. It's relentless. It doesn't care about your excuses, your distractions, or your doubts. The hard road is chaos. It's littered with pain, rejection, and failure. It's full of people who will try to pull you down because they're too scared to climb. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Every scar, every failure, every gut-wrenching moment on that road is a brick in the foundation of your greatness. The hard road doesn't destroy you, it forges you. Most people don't have the guts to walk it. They see the obstacles and turn back. They settle for mediocrity because mediocrity doesn't demand sacrifice. But you're different. You wouldn't still be listening if something inside you wasn't hungry for more. That hunger is your soul screaming for the hard road. And if you ignore it, you'll live the rest of your life in quiet desperation, haunted by the person you could have been. Let me tell you what the hard road gives you. Freedom. Not the fake kind of freedom where you clock in and out of a life you hate, numbing yourself with distractions just to get through the day. No, I'm talking about the freedom to look yourself in the mirror and know you gave it everything. The freedom that comes from owning your scars, your pain, your grind. The freedom to say, I fucking earned this. But here's the thing. No one's going to hand you that freedom. You've got to fight for it every damn day. You've got to wake up when the alarm feels like a gunshot and drag yourself into the arena. You've got to outlast the pain, outthink the fear, and outwork every excuse your mind throws at you. You've got to become a warrior, not just physically, but mentally. Because the hard road doesn't just build your body, it builds your mind. Every time you push through the discomfort, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. Every time you face a setback and get back up, you're rewriting the story of who you are. You're turning yourself into someone who doesn't just survive the hard road. They own it. This isn't just about success. This is about pride. The kind of pride that doesn't come from money or trophies, but from knowing you faced the hardest challenges life threw at you and refused to back down. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing without a doubt that you are unstoppable. So here's your choice. Are you going to take the highway to nowhere? Or are you going to step onto that hard road, knowing full well it's going to break you before it builds you? The road to hell is easy. The road to greatness is hard as hell. But if you got the guts, the heart, and the fire, that hard road will lead you to a life most people can't even dream of. Listen up. There's something you need to hear, something most people are too scared to face. You're going to be alone. At some point in your journey, no one will clap for you. No one will understand your grind. No one will check on you. And that's okay. In fact, it's a gift. Loneliness, that's where the real work begins. That's where you stop relying on others to validate your existence. That's where you find out what you're made of. In solitude, there are no excuses. There's no audience to impress, no comfort to lean on. It's you versus you. I've learned from the pain, the suffering, the long nights in the dark. Loneliness is your teacher. When you're out there running on a cold, empty street at 4 a.m., when the world is asleep and you're pushing yourself to places most people will never go, that's where you find strength. That's where you meet the unbreakable version of yourself. Discipline is your weapon in the silence. When the world is quiet, when the noise dies down, and it's just you and your thoughts, you've got two choices. You can let the silence crush you, or you can use it to sharpen your mind, to strengthen your resolve, to dominate. Solitude is where you strategize. It's where you build your mental armor. It's where you stop being dependent on others to pull you forward. You become your own damn engine. And let me tell you something else. Loneliness is not the enemy. It's the forge. Every second you spend alone, grinding in the dark while others look for shortcuts, you're building the kind of person who can withstand anything. Because when you own the silence, when you master solitude, you become unstoppable. So stop fearing it. Stop waiting for the world to save you. Face the loneliness. Embrace it. Let it transform you. Because when you learn to thrive alone, you'll never need anyone else to survive. Here's the thing most people don't get about loneliness. It's not a curse. It's leverage. Most people are scared of being alone because they think it's a sign they're doing something wrong. They'll do anything to avoid it. Chase shallow relationships, waste hours scrolling, surround themselves with noise just to feel connected. But the truth is, loneliness is where the breakthroughs happen. When you're alone, you have the space to actually think, to confront the hard questions most people avoid. What do I really want? Why am I not where I want to be? What's stopping me from getting there? Solitude forces clarity, and clarity is a superpower. Most people don't have it because they won't spend time in the silence long enough to find it. Loneliness isn't a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're on a different path. The more ambitious your goals, the fewer people will understand them. And that's okay. You don't need them to understand. Your job isn't to be understood, it's to execute. Think of solitude as the ultimate advantage. You're not distracted by everyone else's opinions. You're not chasing validation or wasting energy trying to please people who don't even matter. You're locked in, laser focused. That's where the big moves come from. If you're alone right now, good. This is your season to grow. This is your chance to build yourself without the distractions, without the noise. Use this time to become undeniable. Develop the skills, build the habits, do the work that no one sees. Because the work you do in silence will speak loud when the results show up. Most people will never spend enough time alone to figure out what they're capable of. But if you can embrace it, if you can learn to love it, you'll realize solitude isn't a weakness. It's a weapon. Here's the kicker. The stronger you get in solitude, the less lonely you'll feel. Not because people will start showing up, but because you won't need them to. You'll be so confident in what you've built, so sure of your own value, that you'll stop relying on external validation altogether. So if you're in a season of loneliness right now, don't run from it. Lean into it. Use it. Because this is the space where you level up. Turn solitude into strength, and you'll come out of it unrecognizable. Here's the thing about turning solitude into strength. It compounds. The more time you spend alone, the more you build, the further ahead you get. Why? Because most people are chasing quick wins and distractions. They're burning time trying to stay busy. But busy isn't the same as productive. When you're alone, you don't have the luxury of pretending you're doing something just because you're around others. You either put in the work or you don't. And that's where the edge is created. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't get there because they stayed in the crowd. They stepped away. They got focused. They isolated themselves long enough to break the patterns that keep most people stuck. Solitude isn't glamorous, but it's where the foundation is built. The late nights, the early mornings, the grind, when no one's watching. That's where you create something the world can't ignore. And when the results finally come, everyone will act like you're an overnight success. They'll see the outcome, but they'll never understand the loneliness it took to get there. Here's a framework to think about. Audit your time. When you're alone, you have control over your schedule. Most people waste that freedom. Instead of binge watching or endlessly scrolling, ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now that will create the most leverage in my life? Then do that thing. Use solitude to learn. There's no better time to acquire skills than when you're alone. Pick a skill that will make you more valuable. Writing, coding, selling, speaking, and obsess over it. Build yourself into a person who can't be ignored. Plan your moves. Solitude gives you perspective. Step back and ask, where am I going? And what do I need to do to get there? Use the quiet to strategize, to map out the steps, and to align your daily actions with your long-term vision. Shift your mindset. Don't see loneliness as a lack. See it as a resource. You're not deprived, you're free. Free to create, free to grow, free to focus. The world's noisiest people are stuck in a feedback loop of mediocrity. You've got the silence. Use it. The reality is this. Solitude is uncomfortable because it forces you to face yourself. But that's exactly why it's powerful. It strips away the noise and excuses, leaving you with a choice. Stay the same or transform. When you embrace loneliness, you step into a different category of human. You become someone who doesn't need external motivation, who doesn't crumble without validation, who can operate at a high level no matter the circumstances. And when you come out of that season, you're unstoppable. So don't fear being alone. Leverage it. Build in the silence. Because the solitude you embrace today will become the strength that defines you tomorrow. You're standing on the edge of your limits, staring into the abyss of everything you could be. Most people turn back. They make excuses, rationalize, or convince themselves that half effort is enough. That's weakness talking. That's the soft voice inside you that wants you to stay comfortable. But comfort is the breeding ground of mediocrity. Going all in. It's not for everyone. It's for the ones who are sick of settling. It's for those who have felt the weight of their wasted potential, who look in the mirror and hate what stares back because they know they could be more. If you're reading this and you feel that burn in your chest, that's your soul begging you to stop holding back. Giving it your all isn't glamorous. It's ugly. It's raw. It's waking up at 4 a.m. when your body is screaming for more sleep. It's running until your legs threaten to buckle, and then running 5 more miles just to prove you own your mind, not the other way around. It's about digging deep into the darkest parts of yourself, the parts you've been too scared to face. and pulling out the warrior that's been hiding there all along. Every excuse you've made, every shortcut you've taken, that's weight you're carrying. It's time to strip it off. Go all in. Give everything you've got until there's nothing left. Then dig deeper. Because when you hit that breaking point, when your body is shattered and your mind is screaming at you to quit, that's when most people fold. But not you. That's where you separate yourself. Going all in means there's no plan B. It's burning the boats and committing to the battle. It's knowing that failure isn't an option because you've already decided. You will not quit. You've got one life, one shot. And if you're not willing to give every ounce of yourself to the fight, then what the hell are you doing here? The clock's ticking. The world doesn't care if you succeed or fail. It's all on you. So stop hesitating, stop making excuses, and start living like your life depends on it. Because it does. You wake up, and the first thing you feel is doubt clawing at you. That voice in your head is already whispering, "Take it easy today. You deserve a break. No one will notice if you slack a little." That voice is the enemy. It's your comfort zone trying to chain you down, to keep you soft, weak, and unremarkable. And every time you listen to it, you give up a piece of yourself, a piece of your potential, your future, your greatness. But here's the truth. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to do the work for you. No one cares how tired you are, how much you've already done, or how hard the road is ahead. The world doesn't owe you a damn thing. If you want to be better, if you want to rise above the average, you've got to take full ownership. That means going all in, every single day. No half measures, no shortcuts, no excuses. Going all in isn't a choice you make once. It's a decision you make over and over again. Every rep in the gym, every hour grinding at your craft, every moment you choose discipline over weakness. It's a vote for the person you want to become. And guess what? There's a price to pay for that kind of commitment. It's pain. It's sacrifice. It's putting in work while others rest, sweating while others sleep, and suffering while others indulge. You think you've given enough? Think again. The truth is, most people never even scratch the surface of what they're capable of. They quit when it gets hard, settle when it gets uncomfortable, and wonder why they never achieve anything great. But you're not most people. You're here because something inside you refuses to settle. You know there's more to life than just existing, more than just getting by. You want to leave a mark, to become something unstoppable. Let me tell you what it takes. It takes pushing yourself past every limit you thought you had, breaking down walls you didn't even know existed. It takes discipline on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's about looking at yourself in the mirror and asking, am I truly giving it everything I've got? And if the answer is no, you don't walk away. You get back to work. Going all in isn't pretty. It's late nights, early mornings, and a relentless refusal to quit. It's running when your lungs are on fire, studying when your eyes are burning, grinding when your body and mind are screaming for relief. And when you think you've hit your limit, when every fiber of your being is telling you to stop, that's when you go further. That's where you grow. Because pain is the price of transformation, and sacrifice is the currency of greatness. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones who've achieved the impossible. Do you think they got there by taking it easy? By coasting through life? Hell no. They went all in. They put everything on the line. They bet on themselves when no one else would. They weren't afraid to fail because they knew failure was just another step on the path to success. You want to be unstoppable? Then act like it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect plan. None of that exists. The only thing that matters is the action you take right now. Every second you waste is a second you'll never get back. So stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop dreaming about the life you want. Start fighting for it. This isn't just about achieving a goal. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to be broken. The kind of person who doesn't stop when they're tired. They stop when they're done. It's about proving to yourself that you are more powerful than you ever imagined, that you can endure more pain, more hardship, and more struggle than you ever thought possible. So when the voice in your head tells you to slow down, to back off, to quit, you don't listen. You don't stop. You keep going until there's nothing left to give. And then you give a little more. Because when you go all in, when you give everything you've got, you don't just change your circumstances, you change who you are. And when you're standing at the top, when you've conquered every obstacle, and the world looks at you in awe, you'll know it wasn't luck, it wasn't talent, it wasn't a gift. It was you. It was your refusal to settle, your commitment to the grind, and your willingness to suffer for something greater. When you think about going all in, it's not just a decision. It's a commitment to war. War against every excuse, every limitation, every part of you that wants to stay average. And don't get it twisted. The battle isn't out there in the world. It's right here inside you. The enemy isn't some external force. It's not the competition, the economy, or your circumstances. The enemy is you. It's the version of you that's afraid of the grind, afraid of failure, afraid of how much it's going to hurt. You've got to look that version of yourself dead in the eye and say, not today. Because going all in means you're done negotiating with weakness. There's no bargaining, no compromise, no halfway. You burn the boats. You torch the safety nets. You walk into the fire knowing damn well that it's going to burn. But you don't flinch. You don't back down. Because you understand something most people will never get. The fire doesn't destroy you. It forges you. Think about the life you want, the goals you've set, the dream version of yourself that's living in the back of your mind. Now ask yourself, am I willing to pay the price for that? Because make no mistake, there is a price. It's paid in sweat, blood, tears, and sacrifice. It's paid in the late nights and early mornings, in the loneliness of chasing something bigger than yourself. It's paid when you choose discipline over comfort, purpose over pleasure. But here's the kicker. Most people don't even try. They'll tell you they want it. They'll talk a big game. But when it's time to put up or shut up, they fold. Why? Because going all in means risk. It means there's no backup plan, no safety net. It means you might fail. And failure, it terrifies people. They'd rather stay in their little bubble of mediocrity than face the possibility of falling flat on their face. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the end. It's the beginning. It's the training ground for greatness. Every time you fail, every time you fall short, it's an opportunity to learn, to grow, to come back stronger. The only real failure is quitting. The only way you lose is if you stop fighting. So embrace the failures. Welcome the setbacks. They're the price of admission to the life you want. When you go all in, you stop caring about what other people think. You stop worrying about looking foolish or making mistakes. You stop waiting for permission to go after what you want. Because deep down you know that no one's going to hand it to you. No one's going to pave the way. It's on you to create your own path, to build your own empire brick by bloody brick. And yeah, It's going to hurt. There will be days when you feel like you can't take another step, like the weight of the world is crushing you. There will be nights when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it's all worth it. Let me tell you something. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when you decide who you really are. Do you fold? Or do you get back up and keep swinging? Most people quit. They hit that wall and they turn around. But you're different. You don't stop at the wall. You smash through it. You don't settle for good enough. You push until there's nothing left. And when you think you've reached your limit, you push some more. Because going all in isn't about what you can do when it's easy. It's about what you're willing to do when it's hard. You've got to be willing to outwork, outlast, and outfight everyone else. You've got to be the one who shows up when others stay home, who puts in the work when others make excuses, who keeps going when everyone else has quit. That's what separates the winners from the losers, the average from the unstoppable. So ask yourself right now, am I giving it my all? Not just today, not just in this moment, but in every aspect of my life. And if the answer is no, then it's time to stop lying to yourself. It's time to wake up, step up, and go all in. Because when you finally do, when you give everything you've got, you'll find out something incredible. You'll find out that you're stronger than you thought, tougher than you imagined, and capable of more than you ever believed. You'll look back and realize that every sacrifice, every struggle, every ounce of pain, it was all worth it. So stop holding back. Stop playing small. Stop settling for anything less than everything you've got. Go all in. Stay relentless. And whatever you do, never ever quit. All right, you want progress? Understand this. Pain is the cost of entry. No shortcuts, no detours. You've got to step into the fire. And when the heat starts to break you down, that's when the real work starts. Pain is the only currency that buys change. And if you're not ready to bleed for it, you're not ready to change. Look, everyone wants progress. They want to be stronger, faster, better. But what they really want is the feeling of progress, not the process itself. That's where most people lose it. They see pain as a wall, but pain's not a wall. It's a furnace. You either go through it and come out sharper, harder, or you stay soft and watch life slip away. When you're in the middle of it, when your body is screaming and your mind is begging you to stop, that's your testing ground. That's when you find out if you're a tourist in your own life, or if you're here to stay, putting in the work that no one else will even consider. You've got to make that choice every single day. Pain will strip you down. It will expose every weakness, every excuse, every lie you've been feeding yourself. But that's what progress demands. It's uncomfortable. It's ugly. It's raw. And if you don't learn to make peace with it, you'll never know what's on the other side. So ask yourself right now, are you willing to pay the price? Because progress doesn't come free. You've got to be willing to take every ounce of pain that stands between you and the person you're trying to become. You see, pain is like gravity. It's always there, always pulling on you, always reminding you of what you have to give if you want to climb higher. The higher you want to go, the heavier that pull gets. And most people, they feel that pressure and they tap out. They settle for good enough, for average, because the price of progress scares the hell out of them. But here's the truth most people run from. Pain is the process. You can't avoid it. You can't wish it away. You can't half-ass it and hope for real change. Every mile you don't want to run, every rep that makes your muscles scream, every early morning that pulls you out of a warm bed. It's all part of the deal. And you better be ready to pay it over and over again, because there's no end to this journey. That pain you feel, it's a compass. It's telling you exactly where you need to go, what you need to face. Most people turn away from it. But if you want to be different, if you want to be the kind of person who truly changes, you've got to be the one who runs toward it. You've got to stare that pain in the face, nod and say, "All right, let's do this." Progress isn't about feeling good. It's about dragging yourself into the dirt, breaking down, and rebuilding from scratch, over and over. The pain never stops. It just changes shape. And that's the life you choose when you commit to becoming better than yesterday. There's no finish line. There's no place where it gets easy. So decide right now, are you willing to bleed for this? Are you willing to get torn down and rebuilt 100 times over if that's what it takes? Because if you're not, if you're just in this to look good, to collect applause, to feel comfortable, then you're in the wrong game. This path isn't for everyone. It's brutal, it's unforgiving, and it demands every last piece of who you are. But if you can make peace with that pain, if you can welcome it into your life and let it reshape you, then there's nothing you can't do. Embrace the pain, pay the price, and make that choice to go all in. Because progress doesn't come to the comfortable. It comes to the relentless, the broken, the ones willing to sacrifice everything. Here's the hard truth most people don't want to hear. Real progress is ugly. It's not the highlight reel. It's not some feel-good montage with epic music in the background. It's the sleepless nights, the early mornings, the isolation. It's giving up your comforts, facing your weaknesses, and stepping into the parts of yourself that scare the hell out of you. Every scar, every bruise, every ounce of sweat and pain, that's your ticket to the next level. You've got to become ruthless with yourself. You've got to look in the mirror and tear down every excuse, every comforting lie. You have to face the parts of you that are soft, that are lazy, that want the easy way out. You've got to expose them, confront them, and then kill them off one by one. Because those parts of you, they're the dead weight keeping you where you are. And if you're not willing to cut them off, you're going to stay stuck forever. Most people walk through life half asleep, clinging to comfort, avoiding anything that makes them feel weak. But comfort is a cage. Every time you choose comfort over discomfort, you're adding another bar to that cage, another lock. And before you know it, you're trapped, living a life you didn't choose, held back by chains you made yourself. But there's freedom on the other side of pain. If you can stand up and take the hits, if you can let the pain mold you instead of running from it, you're going to find a strength you didn't know was possible. You're going to realize that all those things you thought you couldn't do, they were just limits you placed on yourself. And once you break those limits, there's nothing in this world that can hold you back. So here's the deal. You want to change? You want to become someone stronger? Someone who doesn't quit when things get hard? Then stop looking for shortcuts. Stop wishing for it to get easier. Instead, decide that you're going to be the one who keeps going when everyone else taps out. Decide that you're going to pay the price, no matter how brutal it gets. Because the truth is, the pain will either own you or fuel you. That choice is yours alone. If you choose to let it drive you, to let it shape you, then there's no limit to what you can become. Embrace it, endure it, and rise through it. And one day when you look back at the person you used to be, you're going to realize that all that pain was worth it. Every single drop of it. Because you'll be standing where you once thought was impossible. And it'll all be because you were willing to pay the damn price. You stand here, the clock ticking into another year, another moment where you tell yourself, this time will be different. But let's cut through the lies. It's been new year, same you for far too long. The same excuses, the same half-ass effort. The same self-pity that has you running back to the comfort zone every time the road gets rough. You tell yourself, this is my year. But when it comes time to bleed, to sweat, to sacrifice, you back down. You hit snooze on the alarm. Not just on your phone, but on your damn life. Let me tell you something. The calendar doesn't change you. A resolution won't save you. You think flipping a page or watching a ball drop means you're reborn. You've got to earn that new version of yourself. Painfully. Relentlessly. No one's coming to rescue you. No one's handing you transformation. Here's the truth. The real you is waiting in the fire. That fire is suffering. It's discipline. It's doing the things that nobody else sees. When nobody's cheering. When you feel like you've got nothing left. It's doing the reps when your muscles scream. It's running the miles when your legs are done. It's facing every single fear you've buried deep because you're afraid of what it'll take to kill the weakness inside you. If you want a new you, stop talking about it. Stop dreaming about it. Start living in the grind. Start owning your failures instead of blaming the world. Every single day of this year, you'll have two choices. Stay the same or suffer to become better. Every second matters. Every decision counts. And if you don't fight for it, don't expect anything to change. When December comes around again, you'll either stand as the same person you've always been, or as someone who stared into the abyss and didn't blink. Someone who forged their soul in the flames of discipline and pain. So ask yourself, what's it going to be this time? Don't just tell me it's a new year. Prove to yourself it's a new you. Stop waiting for motivation to show up, like it's some kind of magical gift. Motivation is weak. It's fleeting. It vanishes. The second things get hard. What you need is obsession. Ruthless obsession. You wake up and your goal is the first thing on your mind. You go to sleep and it haunts your dreams because you know what's at stake. Every single day you've got to wake up and decide, am I going to conquer myself? Or am I going to let this version of me keep running the show? The weak you, the lazy you, the one who's been dragging your life through mediocrity year after year. That version of you, kill it. And don't think for a second that this is about feeling good. Change isn't supposed to feel good. Growth is ugly. It's painful. It's crawling through the mud with every part of your body screaming for you to stop. It's loneliness because no one else understands why you push so hard. But here's the thing. The pain, the grind, the sacrifice. It's not punishment. It's the path to freedom. You think freedom is comfort? Freedom is earned. Freedom is waking up and knowing you have full control over your body, your mind, and your choices because you put in the work every damn day. No shortcuts, no excuses, just relentless, brutal effort. So when the rest of the world is still hungover from their New Year's parties, you're up, you're sweating, you're grinding, and they're making excuses about why they couldn't stick to their resolutions. You're already 10 steps ahead because you didn't wait for January 1st to start. You didn't wait for the perfect moment. You made it happen. This year isn't just another shot at redemption. It's war. It's you against the version of yourself that's been holding you back your entire life. And the only way you win is if you wake up every single day ready to fight, ready to bleed, ready to suffer for the life you said you wanted. So stop lying to yourself. Stop waiting for the universe to hand you the keys. You've had them all along, but you've been too scared to turn the lock. Well, now's the time. Smash the damn door down if you have to. New year, new you. Number new year. Relentless you. Unstoppable you. A savage who doesn't quit, doesn't falter, doesn't make excuses. This is your time. Burn the old version of yourself to ashes and rise. And here's the thing you need to understand. Nobody cares about your journey. Nobody cares how hard it gets for you. The world isn't going to pause and feel sorry for you. Life's still going to throw punches, harder ones this time, because it knows you're trying to level up. That's what most people can't handle. They think the struggle is some kind of sign to stop, but it's the exact opposite. The struggle is the sign that you're in the right place. That's where growth happens. Pain is the price of admission for greatness. Every rep, every mile, every moment you want to quit, that's the toll you pay to get to the other side. And let me tell you something. Most people will never pay it. They'll stand there at the gate, looking for a discount, hoping there's a shortcut. There's not. There never will be. And if you think you can coast through this year with the same weak mentality, thinking life will cut you some slack, you've already lost. You need to get ruthless. Ruthless with your discipline. Ruthless with your focus. Ruthless with yourself. Stop letting yourself off the hook. When that alarm goes off, you don't negotiate with it. You don't argue with the voice in your head that says, 5 more minutes. You get up. You move. You act. Because every time you give in, you're training yourself to quit. You're teaching yourself that it's okay to take the easy way out. But every time you push through, every time you do the thing you don't want to do, you're building armor. You're sharpening the weapon that is you. And when life throws its hardest punches, you're ready. Not because you're lucky, not because you're special, but because you've prepared for it every single day. And don't think for a second that this ends when you hit your goal. Goals are milestones, not finish lines. You climb one mountain, you look for the next. Why? Because the grind is who you are. It's not something you do for a season. It's not something you do for a resolution. It's your identity. You're not chasing some temporary high. You're building a legacy. So when you're staring at yourself in the mirror, asking, can I really do this? Remember, the answer is yes, but only if you're willing to do what others won't. Only if you're willing to step into the pain, the discomfort, and the unknown, and stay there until you forge something unbreakable. This year isn't just about change. It's about transformation. It's about turning yourself into something you can be proud of. Not because someone else told you, but because you know you've given everything. No regrets, no excuses, just results. So ask yourself one last time, are you ready to stop being the same you? If the answer is yes, then it's time to act like it. It's time to burn your past, destroy your comfort zone, and show the world and yourself exactly what you're made of. This is your year. make them remember it. Now go to war